The discovery. The emergency lights flashed red across the Galactic Council chamber. 7 different alien species sat around the massive table, their faces showing fear for the first time in centuries. 3 more ships disappeared last night, Commander Zix said. His blue scales trembled as he spoke. The warrior fleet, our strongest battleships, gone without any signal. The room fell silent. The warrior fleet had never lost a single battle in 500 years. "Show us the last transmission," demanded High Elder Cora. Her 4 eyes blinked nervously. The hologram appeared in the center of the room. They watched as the mighty warships floated through space. Everything looked normal. Then, in less than a second, all 3 ships vanished. No explosion, no debris, no distress signal, just empty space where billions of tons of metal had been. "This is the 7th fleet this month," whispered Ambassador Thren. His tentacles curled with anxiety. "Whatever is doing this, our weapons cannot stop it." Young scientist Vera stood up. She was from the newest species in the Council, barely 2,000 years in space. "I found something strange in our oldest databases," she said quietly. The elders turned to her. Nobody usually listened to the young races, but desperate times called for desperate measures. "There are legends," Vera continued, her voice shaking. "Stories from before our civilizations began. Every species has them. Stories about the first ones, the ones who came before." "Children's tales," High Elder Cora scoffed. "Bedtime stories to scare younglings." "But what if they're not?" Vera activated her display. "Look at these warnings. Every ancient culture has the same message. Beware the hairless ones, the builders who destroyed, the children of Earth." The room grew colder. Earth. That name appeared in every old text, always with fear. "Earth is a dead system," Commander Zix said. "We surveyed it 300 years ago. The 3rd planet is empty. Poisoned oceans, radioactive soil. Nothing could live there." Vera shook her head. "What if they didn't die? What if they left?" She pulled up more data. 2 days ago, our deep space sensors detected something, a signal from the dead zone around Earth. It's old, very old, maybe millions of years old. But it just activated. The Council members looked at each other. Nobody went to the dead zones. There were 47 of them scattered across the galaxy. Systems where nothing lived. Planets that were somehow wrong. Scientists couldn't explain why, but every ship that stayed too long never returned. "Play the signal," High Elder Cora ordered. The speakers crackled. Then a voice spoke. Clear, simple, terrifying. "Warning. Human defense grid active. Do not approach. We are not gone. We are waiting." The message repeated in over 1,000 languages. Some the Council knew. Most they didn't. "Humans," Ambassador Thren gasped. "The monsters from the old stories. They're real." Every species had stories about humans. The creatures that walked on 2 legs. No claws, no fangs, no armor. But somehow, they were the nightmare of nightmares. The stories said they could survive anything. They would eat poison for pleasure. They would bond with predators as pets. They would laugh at death and make weapons from anything. "We need to investigate," Vera said. "If humans are real, if they're still alive, they might be behind the disappearances." Commander Zix stood up. "I'll take a scout team. Small, fast. We go in, we look, we leave." 3 days later, Commander Zix's ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the dead zone. His crew of 12 specialists stared at their screens in shock. Earth wasn't dead. It was hidden. A massive cloaking field surrounded the entire system. As they passed through it, their sensors went crazy. Structures, thousands of them, floating in perfect formation around the sun, each one the size of a moon, each one covered in weapons they couldn't identify. "By the stars," the pilot whispered, "this isn't a dead system. It's a fortress." They approached the 3rd planet carefully. Earth looked dead from the outside, but their deep scans showed the truth. Underneath the poisoned surface, There were cities, massive underground networks spreading across every continent, all empty, all waiting. On the largest continent, they found it. A pyramid structure, 5 kilometers tall, made of black metal that seemed to absorb light. In front of it stood a statue, a figure standing on 2 legs, no claws, no fangs, no armor, a human. At the base of the statue, words were carved in Galactic Standard. The message was simple. We were here first. We will be here last. We left for your safety, not ours. Commander Zix felt his scales turn white with fear. Send this to the Council, now. As his communication officer reached for the controls, every screen on their ship turned black. Then 2 words appeared. Welcome back. The lights went out. The awakening. Commander Zix opened his eyes. He was still alive. That was the first surprise. The second surprise was the human standing in front of him. It looked exactly like the ancient drawings. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin without scales or fur. But its eyes were wrong. They held stars inside them, actual stars spinning slowly in the darkness of its pupils. You've been asleep for 3 days, the human said. Its voice sounded young, but something ancient lived behind the words. We had to scan your minds. Sorry about that. We needed to know if you came in peace. Zix tried to move, but found he could stand easily. His crew stood behind him, all awake, all unharmed. They were inside a vast white room with no visible walls or ceiling. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. Where are we? Zix asked, surprised he could speak. Mars, underground city number 7, about 20 miles below what you call the dead surface. The human smiled. It was not a comforting sight. My name is Marcus. I'm what you might call a caretaker. I've been waiting here for quite some time. How long? Vera asked, her scientific mind overcoming her fear. Marcus tilted his head. Since your species were learning to use fire, give or take a few millennia. The room went silent. That was impossible. No being could live that long. You're lying, Commander Zix said. Marcus laughed. The sound made reality ripple. The solid floor beneath them became transparent, revealing a city below. Massive structures floated without support. Beings walked on air. Water flowed upward in spirals. The laws of physics were suggestions here. We don't die anymore, Marcus said simply. Death became optional about 2 million years ago. Most of us chose to keep living. Some chose to sleep. A few chose to end. But dying of age? That's ancient history. He waved his hand. The room changed. Now they stood in space, but they could breathe. Stars surrounded them, but they weren't cold. Below them, Earth spun slowly. Let me show you something, Marcus said. The view zoomed out, past Earth, past the solar system, past the local cluster, further and further until the entire galaxy spread before them like a jeweled disk. See those dark patches? Marcus pointed to areas where no stars shone. Dead zones, you call them. There are 47 visible to you, but there are actually 470. The others are hidden, like Earth was. Vera gasped. Hidden human systems? No. Marcus's expression darkened. Graveyards. Places where we fought the others. The others? Zix felt his scales turn cold. Marcus nodded. The reason we left. The reason we hide. The reason your ships have been disappearing. The view changed. They were watching a recording. A human fleet. Thousands of ships. Each one impossible in design. Ships made of liquid metal. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Ships that were alive. Then came the enemy. They weren't ships. They weren't creatures. They were breaks in reality itself. Places where space screamed. Where time bled. Where matter forgot how to exist. The battle lasted 3 seconds. Both sides erased entire star systems. Suns were used as bullets. Black holes as shields. The fabric of space itself became a weapon. When it ended, nothing remained but void. We won that battle, Marcus said quietly. But we realized something. We had become too powerful. Our wars were killing reality itself. Each battle created dead zones where physics died, where nothing could ever exist again. The scene changed. They were back in the White Room. So we made a choice, Marcus continued. We pulled back. We hid. We let younger species grow without our shadow. We became myths, legends, ghost stories. But the others? Commander Zix asked. Still out there, still hunting. We've been fighting them in the dark spaces between galaxies for 2 million years, keeping them away from you. Marcus smiled sadly. You were our children in a way. Every species in this galaxy exists because we planted the seeds of life before we left. Vera's scientific mind was racing. The disappearing ships. That's you? No. Marcus's eyes flashed. That's them. The others found a way past our barriers. They're testing your defenses, seeing if this galaxy is ready to harvest. Harvest. The word chilled everyone. They eat reality, Marcus explained. They consume the laws of physics themselves. They turn order into chaos, matter into void. Their entropy given consciousness. An alarm sounded. Marcus touched the air and a screen appeared. It showed the Galactic Council chamber, but something was wrong. The counselors were frozen mid-motion, not moving, not breathing, stuck between one moment and the next. They're here, Marcus whispered. The others have entered your space. This is what they do. First, they taste time. They sample reality before they feast. He turned to the crew. We have a choice to make. Humanity can stay hidden and let the galaxy fall, or we can reveal ourselves and fight. But if we fight, if we show our true power, everything changes. Your species will never be the same. The humans from your nightmares, we're much worse than those stories. Marcus held out his hand. In his palm, a small star was born. It lived, burned, and died in seconds. This is what every human child can do by age 5. Imagine what our soldiers can do. Imagine what our angry ones can accomplish. Commander Zix looked at his crew, then back at Marcus. How many humans are there? Marcus smiled. That terrible ancient smile. Counting the sleeping ones, the digital ones, the ones who became energy, the ones exploring other dimensions. About 70 trillion. The crew stood in shocked silence. But here's the real question, Marcus said, as reality began to bend around him. Do you want our help? Because once we step out of the shadows, once we show the galaxy what humanity became, there's no going back. Your gods will become children. Your weapons will become toys. Your understanding of reality will shatter. He pointed to the frozen council on the screen. You have 1 hour before they're completely consumed. Decide quickly. Do you want to meet the real human race? As if to emphasize his point, Marcus walked through the wall like it wasn't there, but his voice remained. Oh, and Commander Zix, those aren't stars in my eyes. They're galaxies. Galaxies where humans rule as gods. We're not just ancient. We're not just dangerous. We're the thing that monsters fear. The screen changed. It showed Earth. But now the dead surface was breaking apart. Something massive was rising from beneath. Cities, millions of them, each one larger than any structure the aliens had ever built. Humanity was waking up, and the universe would never be the same. First contact. The Galactic Council chamber unfroze with a violent gasp of reality. High Elder Cora collapsed, her 4 eyes bleeding silver tears. Around the table, every council member screamed as time crashed back into their bodies. They had been conscious the entire time, trapped between heartbeats, feeling themselves being slowly erased. Then the walls disappeared, not destroyed, not blown apart. They simply stopped existing, revealing the cosmos beyond. The council found themselves sitting at their table, floating in open space, yet somehow still breathing. A single human child walked across the stars toward them, She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, wearing a simple white dress. Her feet stepped on nothing, but each footfall created ripples in space itself. "Hello," she said, her voice echoing in their minds despite the vacuum. "My name is Luna. My daddy says I should apologize. I was playing with some friends near your galaxy, and I accidentally let the bad things notice you." Ambassador Thren tried to speak but found his voice stolen. The child, Luna, tilted her head. "Oh, you can't talk in folded space. Here." She clapped her hands. Reality unfolded. The council was back in their chamber, walls intact, but Luna stood at the center of their table. Above her, space bent into impossible shapes. Through the distortions, they could see thousands of human ships emerging from nowhere. No, not ships. People. Humans floating in open space without suits, without protection, without any technology at all. "The others ate 3 of your worlds while you were frozen," Luna said matter-of-factly. "Daddy stopped them from eating more, but he had to reveal himself. That means the rules are broken now." "What rules?" High Elder Korra managed to whisper. Luna sat cross-legged on the table, floating slightly above its surface. "The rules that keep us separate. For 2 million years, humans stayed in the dark between galaxies. We fought the bad things where you couldn't see. We kept quiet. We kept hidden. But now they know you know we're here." She pointed upward. The ceiling became transparent. Above them, a human man floated in space, holding something impossible. He was wrestling with a crack in reality itself. The crack writhed like a living thing, trying to spread, trying to consume. The man pressed his hands together, and the crack screamed before disappearing. "That's my daddy," Luna said proudly. "He's only middle-aged, just 40,000 years old. He can close reality tears with his hands. The older humans can do much more." Commander Zix finally found his voice. "Where are your weapons? Your technology?" Luna laughed. It sounded like stars being born. "We are the weapons. Technology became unnecessary when we learned to think reality into different shapes. Watch." She held out her small hand. In her palm, a miniature galaxy formed. Real stars, real planets. The Council could see tiny civilizations rising and falling on those worlds. Billions of years passed in seconds. "This is what human children do for fun," Luna said. "We create universes in our hands. We play with time like modeling clay. We paint with the fundamental forces." She closed her hand. The galaxy disappeared. "But the others are different." Her expression grew serious. "They're from the space between spaces, the nothing that exists outside everything. They don't create. They uncreate. They're anti-existence itself." The room shook. Through the walls they could hear screaming. Not with their ears. The screaming came from inside their bones. Luna stood up quickly. "They're here. A big one." She looked at the Council. "I need to ask you something important. Do you want to see what humans really are? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your entire understanding of reality will break." Before anyone could answer, the eastern wall dissolved, not destroyed. It simply forgot how to exist. Through the gap, they saw it, the other. It wasn't a creature. It was an absence, a place where everything wasn't. Looking at it was like trying to see with your eyes turned inside out. It hurt to perceive. Several council members began bleeding from their sensory organs. Luna sighed. "I wanted to do this slowly, but okay." She began to grow. No, that wasn't right. She wasn't growing. She was unfolding. The small child was just a projection, a finger puppet worn by something vast. Layer after layer peeled away, each revealing something more impossible than the last. The Council saw her true form for exactly 1 second before their minds shut down to protect themselves. In that second they understood. Luna wasn't a child. She was a living constellation, a being made of organized space-time. Her thoughts were gravity waves. Her heartbeat was the cosmic background radiation. She reached out with appendages that existed in 17 dimensions and grabbed the other. They fought in ways that physics couldn't describe. The battle took place in the past, present, and future simultaneously. They fought with mathematics itself, turning equations into weapons, making probability into poison. When it ended, Luna stood before them again, small, human, 8 years old. But now they knew better. The others felt that, she said quietly. All of them, across all of reality. They know humans are defending this galaxy now. Through the windows, more humans were appearing. They came from inside black holes. They stepped out of dark matter. They emerged from the spaces between atoms. Millions, billions, trillions. And none of them looked human anymore. Some were giants made of living stars. Others were microscopic, smaller than quarks, but containing entire civilizations in their cells. Some existed in multiple timelines simultaneously. Others were made of pure thought, visible only as distortions in reality. This is what we became, Luna said. We transcended biology 2 million years ago. We transcended physics 1 million years after that. Now we're something else, something that shouldn't exist but does. A new figure appeared, an old human. Not physically old, age had no meaning to them, but ancient in a way that hurt to perceive. When he spoke, his words created matter. I am the first, he said, the oldest living human. I watched the universe be born. I will watch it die. I have fought the others since before your atoms formed. He looked at the council with eyes that had seen the heat, death of other universes. The others are coming. All of them. They know we're here now. They know we're protecting you. So they're bringing everything. Every nightmare. Every impossibility. Everything that should not be. He gestured, and the council saw it. The edge of the galaxy. The darkness between stars was moving. Not ships. Not creatures. The darkness itself was alive, and it was hungry. You have a choice, the first said. We can leave. Take our war elsewhere. Let the others have this galaxy. You'll die, but die as you are. Die believing the universe makes sense. Or, High Elder Korra asked, or we stay. We fight. We show you what war looks like when physics is a weapon and time is a battlefield. You'll survive, but you'll never be the same. You'll know that everything you believed about reality was a comforting lie. Luna tugged at the first's hand. Tell them the truth, grandfather. The first looked down at her, then back at the council. The truth is, you were never naturally evolved species. Every race in this galaxy exists because we made you. You're our children, our experiments, our hope that life could exist without becoming what we became. The silence was deafening. We seeded you, guided you, protected you. We've been your invisible guardians for millions of years. The others wanted us seated, and you because you're ours. Hurting you hurts us. He spread his hands. So choose, die in ignorance, or live knowing that your gods were real and they were us. Commander Zix stood up. His leg shook, but his voice was steady. Show us everything. Show us what humanity really is. The first smiled. It was the most terrifying and beautiful thing they had ever seen. Very well. Welcome to the real universe. Welcome to the war that started before time. Welcome to humanity's true face. He snapped his fingers, and every star in the galaxy turned black for exactly 3 seconds. When light returned, the humans were everywhere, in every system, on every world. 1 trillion guardian angels revealing themselves at once. The real war was about to begin. The truth. The war lasted 3 seconds and 3 billion years simultaneously. Commander Zix watched from the council chamber as reality broke into fragments. In one timeline, the others had already won, and the galaxy was nothing but void. In another, humans had never left, and alien species never evolved. In a third, the war was still beginning. All timelines were true. All were happening now. Luna sat beside him, her child form flickering between dimensions. "Don't try to understand it with your brain," she said gently. "Your neurons weren't designed for omnidirectional time. Just watch, feel, know." Through the shattered windows of space-time, Zix saw the true scale of humanity. They weren't fighting with ships or weapons. They were rewriting the source code of reality itself. One human woman stood at the galactic core, her hands deep inside the supermassive black hole, pulling out streams of corrupted space-time like infected tissue. Another human existed as pure mathematics, fighting the others in dimensions that had no names, only numbers. But the others were winning. "We're losing on purpose," Luna whispered. Zix turned to her in shock. "What?" The first appeared beside them, his form shifting between solid and probability. "The others aren't the real enemy. They never were. They're antibodies." The chamber dissolved. They stood now in a place that wasn't a place, a white void that existed outside the universe itself. Here, Zix could see everything, every galaxy, every dimension, every possible reality stretched out like an infinite web. And the web was sick. "Reality has cancer," the first explained. "The universe is dying, not from age or entropy, but from existence itself becoming corrupted. The others aren't invaders. They're the universe's immune system, trying to delete the infection." "But they're killing everything," Ambassador Thren protested. "Because everything is infected," Luna said sadly, "including us, especially us." She showed them how humans had evolved, how they'd transcended death, transcended physics, transcended every limitation. But in doing so, they'd broken something fundamental. Their very existence was causing reality to rot from within. "Every time we use our power, we damage the fabric of existence," the first continued. "We're not gods. We're a virus that learned to think, and the universe is trying to cure itself." The view shifted. They saw the beginning now. The real beginning. Humans hadn't evolved naturally. They were an accident. A glitch in the cosmic code. A species that should never have existed but did. And once they started growing, spreading, evolving, they couldn't be stopped. "We tried to fix it," the first said. "We hid. We limited ourselves. We created you. Natural species that could exist without breaking reality. But it wasn't enough. The damage was done." Through the void, they watched as more others poured in. Not from outside the galaxy, but from outside existence itself. They weren't creatures or ships or entities. They were patches, trying to fix the broken code of reality. "So what happens now?" High Elder Korra asked. "Do we all die?" Luna smiled. It was both innocent and ancient. "No, we found another way." She held out her hand. In it was something impossible, a seed made of crystallized time. "We're going to restart everything," she said simply. "Delete this universe and create a new one. One where humans never existed. Where physics works correctly. Where life can evolve without breaking reality." The council stood in stunned silence. "But you'll die," Vera whispered. "We'll never have existed," the first corrected. "There's a difference. Death implies you were once alive. We're going to edit ourselves out of history completely." He gestured to the infinite web of realities. "We've done this before, billions of times. Each universe we try to get it right. Each time humans evolve again, break reality again, and we have to reset again." "This is hell," Commander Zix realized. "You're trapped in hell." "No," Luna said brightly. "It's love." She showed them the truth, the final truth. Humans knew they were wrong, knew they shouldn't exist, but they loved the universe too much to let it die. So they played this game eternally, existing, breaking things, then erasing themselves to fix it, over and over, forever. "But this time is different," the first said. "This time, we're going to make sure humans can never evolve again. We're going to change the fundamental laws of physics itself. make our existence impossible. The others stopped attacking. They hung in space, waiting. They know, Luna explained. They're not our enemies. They're our partners in this dance. They attack to give us a reason to reset, to make the choice easier. She stood up, and suddenly she wasn't a child anymore. She was every human who had ever lived. Trillion upon trillion of consciousness merged into one being. "Before we go," she said with infinite voices, "we wanted you to know you weren't accidents, you weren't experiments. You were our apology to existence, our attempt to create something better than ourselves." The first placed his hand on the seed of crystallized time. When this activates, everything resets. The universe begins again. 14 billion years will pass in an instant. Life will evolve. Civilizations will rise. But humans won't exist. Can't exist. The laws of physics won't allow it. "Will we remember?" Vera asked. "No, but you'll dream of us sometimes. Nightmares about beings that shouldn't exist. Stories about the impossible ones. Myths about the first race that never was." Luna looked at each council member. "You'll be the first species this time. The oldest, the wisest. You'll guide the others, protect them. You'll do what we couldn't, exist without breaking everything." The seed began to glow. Reality started unraveling at the edges. "Wait!" Commander Zix shouted. "If you've done this billions of times, how do you know this time will work?" The first smiled. "We don't. But we've learned something new each reset. This time, we're not just erasing humans. We're erasing the possibility of transcendence itself. No species will ever evolve beyond physical form. You'll never become gods. You'll never break reality. You'll stay mortal, limited, imperfect," Luna added. "And that's beautiful." The glow intensified. The council could feel themselves beginning to fade. "One last gift," the first said. "In the new universe, you'll find artifacts, impossible structures that shouldn't exist, monuments to remind you that something came before, something that loved you enough to die for you, something that chose to never exist so you could." Luna hugged Commander Zix. He felt the weight of trillion years of loneliness in that embrace. "Goodbye," she whispered. "Hello. We never met. We always knew each other." The seed shattered. Reality ended. Reality began. Commander Zix woke up at his desk in the Galactic Council chambers. He'd been dreaming. Something about he couldn't remember. Something about impossible beings and a war that never happened. On his desk was a report. 3 ships had discovered something odd, an ancient structure near a dead star. It was made of materials that shouldn't exist, covered in writing no one could read, except for one line, carved in every known language. "We were here. We were never here. We loved you enough to never exist." Zix stared at the words. They meant nothing. They meant everything. They made him want to cry, though he didn't know why. In the corner of his eye, he thought he saw a small girl in a white dress waving goodbye. But when he turned, nothing was there. Nothing had ever been there. The humans were just a myth, a story to scare children, a nightmare about beings too powerful to exist, weren't they? Outside his window, the stars twinkled normally. Space was empty and quiet. The universe made sense. But sometimes, in the darkness between the stars, something watched. Something that had chosen to die infinite times for finite creatures. Something that loved the universe more than its own existence. The forgotten human race. Ancient and more dangerous than any alien could imagine. Dangerous enough to choose not to exist.